Romy Schneider's influence on European film remains immeasurable, and her story continues to captivate audiences worldwide. The introduction above sets the stage by highlighting the key themes of her life: her Austrian origins, her work across both German and French cinema, and her profound personal and professional challenges. What may surprise newer fans is the extent to which Romy Schneider navigated not just one, but multiple film industries and cultural contexts during her relatively short life. She stood at a fascinating intersection: beloved in German-speaking Europe for her portrayal of historical royals, she also became an icon in French cinema, working with some of the greatest directors of the 20th century. As we begin this deep dive, it is crucial to understand that Schneider's story weaves together rags to riches myth and aristocratic glamour, tabloid scandal and professional triumph, heartbreaking personal tragedy, and unforgettable cinematic achievements. She was a paradoxical figure, widely adored as Sissi the princess on screen, yet yearning for artistic freedom and a more serious approach to acting. By the end of her life, despite her fame, she found herself emotionally and financially vulnerable. Some accounts even say penniless. The following sections provide a comprehensive exploration of each stage of Romy Schneider's life: her early upbringing, her family's theatrical legacy, her sudden stardom, her major professional ventures and the tragic threads, romantic heartbreak, strained parental ties, health crises, and tabloid intrusions that coalesced to define her final years. Through this lens, we can more fully grasp why Romy Schneider's narrative has endured and why she remains a poignant symbol of both cinematic brilliance and the high personal cost that often accompanies fame. Childhood: Romy Schneider, born at the dawn of one of Europe's most tumultuous eras, arrived into a rapidly changing Austria just 6 months after Hitler annexed the country in March 1938. Although she was too young to remember the immediate impact, the socio-political environment around her would profoundly shape her family's circumstances and indirectly her own career trajectory. Born to an established theatrical family, Romy was introduced to the performing arts in her infancy. Vienna in the late 1930s was culturally rich but overshadowed by the Nazi regime's propaganda machine. Her father, Wolf Albach Reddy, was recognized for his theater work, while her mother, Magda Schneider, had a career in film, often in light comedies that conveniently avoided critical conflicts with the Nazi government. The name Romy was a casual shortening of her given name, Rosemarie, a choice that soon became her professional moniker. Early acquaintances described her as a curious child, quieter than one might expect, from someone who would later become a beloved star. Moved to Berchtesgaden. When Romy was 4, her parents separated. She subsequently moved with her mother and maternal grandparents to Berchtesgaden, a picturesque alpine town in southern Germany. Historically, Berchtesgaden was known for its proximity to Hitler's Eagle's Nest retreat, and while this detail did not directly affect her day-to-day life, it highlighted the precarious environment in which she grew up. Romy's early education in Berchtesgaden involved routine schoolwork, but also an immersion in nature. Surrounded by mountains, she developed a passion for sketching landscapes and painting, an early sign of her artistic instincts. As a teen, she attended a school in Salzburg, Austria, which further broadened her cultural exposure. Salzburg, famed for its music festivals and historical sites, provided a nurturing environment for a budding artist. Here she performed in school plays and dabbled in various sports, showcasing a lively energy and a willingness to engage in teamwork, qualities that, ironically, would contrast with her later reputation for introspective, emotionally charged roles on screen. Before she found herself propelled into acting, Romy dreamed of becoming a painter. She allegedly enjoyed capturing the alpine landscapes of Salzburg and Berchtesgaden on paper. Some of her early sketches were kept by family members, reflecting a serious interest rather than a fleeting hobby. However, her mother's connections in film and the immediate success she encountered as a teenager derailed these painterly ambitions. The sudden discovery of her on-screen charisma, combined with a significant public appetite for new starlets, meant that Romy was on a fast track to fame by the age of 15. Growing up in Central Europe during the final years of World War II and in post-war society shaped how Romy viewed life. She witnessed a region struggling to rebuild, reevaluate its cultural identity, and move forward from the devastation. This background may partly explain why she later sought roles that challenged the simplistic narratives seen in many pre- and post-war German films. Overall, Romy Schneider's childhood was both idyllic in its alpine setting and turbulent in the shadow of familial estrangement and a Nazi-influenced society. Though she initially harbored little desire to step into the limelight, her maternal lineage and the regional demand for star power led her to a film set at a startlingly young age. In reflecting on this era, Romy often spoke of her love for painting and the what-ifs of another life. Yet the momentum of her early success left little time for such contemplations, ushering her into a world of cameras, lights, and adoring fans, a world she would both cherish and at times resent. Melee. The mention of 3 generations in a theatrical family points to a deep legacy that likely facilitated Romy Schneider's entry into film. This environment gave her an intimate familiarity with scripts, stage lights, costume fittings, rehearsals, and the overall aura of show business. The family dynamic, however, was rife with complexities that significantly impacted her personal growth and later professional choices. Her father, Wolf Albach-Reddy, a known figure at the Vienna Volkstheater, Wolf possessed an undeniable stage presence and a robust network within Austrian performing arts circles. However, Wolf's devotion to his craft, combined with the tensions of World War II, may have weakened the family unit. After the war, opportunities in the Austrian theater world changed drastically, adding further stress. Romy's relationship with her father was intermittently close, yet often distant. In interviews, she suggested that her parents' separation led to emotional turbulence and occasional resentment for the instability. Rosa, Romy's paternal grandmother, had been celebrated in Vienna for her interpretations of classical roles on the stage. While Rosa was influential, her presence in Romy's life was more symbolic, an inspiration for what a performer could achieve rather than an active day-to-day mentor. Notably, Rosa's success in a male-dominated early 20th century theater scene demonstrated the family's resilience and determination, traits that would later define Romy's own journey through the male-dominated film industry. Her mother, Magda Schneider, was a film star in Germany during the 1930s, performing in musicals and harmless historical dramas that generally avoided controversial topics. While these films were not overtly propagandistic, they nevertheless fit into the Nazi regime's entertainment strategy of providing light distractions for the populace. After World War II, Magda sustained her career despite significant changes in the industry, helping support Romy financially and guiding her initial steps into film. However, Magda was reportedly quite controlling and played an integral role in shaping Romy's early career decisions, a dynamic that sometimes led to conflict as Romy grew older and sought independence. With her parents dividing, Romy's day-to-day life was structured around her mother and maternal grandparents in Berchtesgaden. This environment offered love and stability, but also solidified Magda's influence. Romy herself would mention that because of her mother's background and persona, She felt like her career path was almost predestined. Some critics argue that this overshadowing presence delayed Romy's ability to form a distinct professional identity. The Albach-Reddy name commanded respect on the Austrian stage, while Magda Schneider's name recognition in Germany provided Romy with a stepping stone into film. Producers could market her as the next generation of a beloved dynasty, generating instant curiosity and box office appeal. This environment was both a blessing and a curse. While it opened doors, it also placed Romy under constant scrutiny. Tabloid press in post-war Germany and Austria was quick to label her as either the favored daughter of a famed actress or the living extension of her father's theatrical career. At 15, Schneider's film career took off when a director of one of her mother's films offered her a role playing the on-screen daughter in When the White Lilacs Bloom Again, which became a box office success in 1953. She was then offered more parts, including a light biopic about the adolescence of Queen Victoria, Girlhood of a Queen, which made her a major new screen star in Europe. These early films proved to have a longevity few expected, remaining staples of daytime television schedules and occupying an exalted place in German gay iconography. An abridged version of one trilogy was dubbed in English and released as Forever My Love in 1962. But overseas audiences were unimpressed. Nor did Girlhood of a Queen perform well when a dubbed English version was released in 1958 as The Story of Vicky. Nevertheless, Schneider made her first visit to the United States that year on a small press tour. She later remarked that her family still largely controlled her career then, selecting her scripts for her. In 1958, she was cast in Christine, about romantic intrigues at the 1906 Viennese court, co-starring with Alain Delon, one of France's top leading men at the time. Schneider made an uncredited cameo appearance in Purple Noon, the first film adaptation of Patricia Highsmith's The Talented Mr. Ripley novels, but turned down other roles. She was even offered $200,000 for a fourth film, tied to her earlier successes. Yet she remained determined to become a serious film actress. Her return to the spotlight began on the Paris stage when she appeared with Delon in an Elizabethan drama, 'Tis Pity She's a, which required her to act in French, still unfamiliar to her. Directed by the formidable Italian stage and screen director Luchino Visconti, the production was a critical and commercial hit, leading Visconti to cast her in Boccaccio 70. This trilogy of stories featured salacious romantic intrigues. Anita Ekberg and Sophia Loren appeared in the other segments, directed by Federico Fellini and Vittorio De Sica, respectively. Boccaccio 70 was a terrific success across Europe and was also released in North America. A few years later, Luchino Visconti invited Schneider to revisit her imperial alter ego in Ludwig, 1973, a dramatic depiction of King Ludwig II's tumultuous reign. While she again portrayed Empress Elizabeth, this time the character was steeped in psychological nuance and tragic undertones. The film's somber mood stood in sharp contrast to the glossy Sissi trilogy, allowing Schneider to flex her dramatic depth and underscore her enduring fascination with historical royalty, now filtered through Visconti's darkly elegant lens. This role further validated her desire to escape one-dimensional typecasting and proved that even a familiar figure like Elizabeth could evolve into a layered, haunting presence on screen. Afterwards, Schneider starred in a few English-language films, including Orson Welles' lauded adaptation of the Franz Kafka novel The Trial, 1962. Anthony Perkins played a man on trial for unknown crimes. In his quest to clear his name, he visits the home of the mysterious advocate, played by Wells, while Schneider portrayed the seductive maid, Lenny. Next, she appeared in The Victors, 1963, a Columbia Studios project set during the World War II, and then in Otto Preminger's The Cardinal, playing a young Viennese woman who falls in love with Tom Tryon's ambitious Roman Catholic priest. Under a 5-picture deal with Columbia, she also made the 1964 farce Good Neighbor Sam with Jack Lemmon, playing a European heiress-to-be who persuades her married neighbor to pose as her spouse so that she can claim her inheritance. However, Schneider disliked working in Hollywood, possibly due to the press coverage she received. Her last notable English-language film, What's New Pussycat, 1965, featured a script by Woody Allen, his first full-length comedy, and starred Peter O'Toole as Schneider's fiancé, who struggles to curb his infidelities. Peter Sellers played the psychoanalyst attempting to cure him, while Capucine and Ursula Andress co-starred in a farcical weekend setting at a country villa. Back in France, director Claude Sauté cast Schneider alongside Michel Piccoli in several movies emphasizing her allure as an intelligent, sexually modern woman. These included The Things of Life, 1970, Max and the Junk Man, 1971, and César and Rosalie, 1972. In 1975, she appeared in Claude Chabrol's Dirty Hands, about a woman plotting to kill her husband, Rod Steiger, with her lover in Saint-Tropez. Around the mid-1970s, Schneider cemented her place at the pinnacle of French cinema by clinching not just one, but 2 César Awards for Best Actress. In L'Important c'est d'aimer, 1975, she delivered a raw, poignant performance that shocked critics and enthralled audiences, earning her the first César of her career. 3 years later, she won again for Une histoire simple, 1978, a role that confirmed her ability to fuse vulnerability and strength on screen. This pair of victories was more than a milestone. It was a powerful statement that Schneider's talent transcended the linguistic and cultural barriers she once encountered. In 1977, Schneider filmed her first German production in nearly 20 years, Group Portrait with Lady, earning her the Deutscher Filmpreis for acting. 2 years later, she appeared in the Costa Gavras film Claire de Femme, followed by work with director Bertrand Tavernier. Though her health began to fail, she completed her final film, The Passerby, a French-German co-production released in 1981, co-starring again with Piccoli. Scandal. The scandal that erupted when Romy Schneider followed Alain Delon to France is a fascinating commentary on European media culture at the time. In post-war Germany and Austria, Romy's girl-next-door image had become almost a national symbol of innocence and renewal. Her decision to leave the country for a romance with a French leading man struck some Germans as an affront. It also threatened an entire pipeline of film production that banked on her presence. This uproar revealed a darker side of fame. Romy found herself the subject of sensationalist coverage that, by today's standards, would resemble the modern paparazzi phenomenon. Although tabloids were less global at the time, local newspapers and magazines in Europe specialized in moralizing commentary, painting her as a wayward daughter who betrayed her roots. The scandal underscores the difficulty she faced in seeking new roles and new creative horizons. She had to fight not only typecasting but also the hostility of a press environment that wanted her to remain in a safe, marketable box. Later in life, the tabloids would hound her about her failed relationships, rumored affairs, and heartbreaks. Even health issues, like her miscarriage, became fodder for sensational headlines. This perpetual invasion of privacy coincided with her shift to more challenging roles that delved into psychological trauma and existential angst. In some ways, Her personal pain found an artistic outlet, yet it was a double-edged sword, as the media coverage often overshadowed her professional accomplishments. Romy Schneider's marriage to Harry Mayen was seen by some as a stabilizing factor in her life at the time. Mayen was German, and their union was likely a way for her to reconnect with her homeland after the scandal of moving to France. However, the marriage itself was not free from tension. Mayen had a career of his own, acting, directing, and writing. Balancing two artistic temperaments under one roof can be challenging. Add to that the emotional complexities of Romy's earlier bond with Alain Delon, and the stage was set for conflict. Despite the divorce, Mayen played a key role in her life. They shared a son, David, whose tragic death at the age of 14 would devastate Romy. That heartbreak came after the marriage had already dissolved, but it underscores how profoundly entwined personal and professional spheres can become for a high-profile actor. Her second marriage to Daniel Biasini looked different. Biasini was not a film star, but a photographer and journalist, which might have offered Romy a sense of normalcy outside the relentless demands of cinema. She gave birth to her daughter, Sarah, who would later become an actress herself, Sarah Biasini. Yet even this new life did not guarantee long-term stability for Romy, who continued to wrestle with old wounds, career pressures, and a constant sense of never being fully at peace. Other relationships. Romy Schneider's relationship with Alain Delon achieved legendary status in European cinema lore. Both were young, glamorous, and ambitious. Delon was quickly rising to international stardom himself, known for his stunning looks and charismatic presence. Their coupling was a marketing dream for studios, tabloids, and fans. Yet, it also placed them under intense public scrutiny. The rumored story that Delon ended the engagement by sending a single rose has been repeated endlessly, becoming part of the mythology around Schneider's love life. Whether it's strictly true or somewhat embellished, it symbolically captures the abruptness of their breakup. For Romy, the emotional fallout was profound, even if her professional relationship with Delon evolved into a supportive friendship. Delon, for instance, was instrumental in helping her establish connections in the French film industry, an opportunity that proved to be a turning point for her career, especially under the tutelage of directors like Visconti. In interviews decades later, Delon often spoke about Romy with deep affection and regret, suggesting that what they shared was genuine, but overshadowed by youth, career ambitions, and the relentless media spotlight. The death of Romy Schneider's son David is often described as the defining heartbreak of her final years. The young teenager's fatal accident was a shocking event that left her inconsolable. Understandably, this emotional trauma contributed to the deterioration of her health, already strained by other factors: work stress, relationship problems, and a sense of inner turmoil that had been building for years. She underwent a kidney operation not long before her own death. While the official cause of death was reported as cardiac arrest, many close to her believed that her grief over David's loss played a decisive role in her rapid decline. Romy was only 43 years old when she died, cutting short a career that might have continued to evolve. Even now, fans speculate about the roles she could have played if she had lived longer and explored different phases of maturity on screen. In Europe, her posthumous legacy looms large. Streets, squares, and cultural institutions bear her name, and new generations discover her films continually. The intercity train, named after her, running between Vienna and Villach, is a poignant nod to her Austrian heritage. In France, her place in the pantheon of cinema is equally revered. She is remembered as a quintessential star whose tragic end only heightens the mystique surrounding her life story. Romy Schneider's story endures as a poignant reminder of how even the brightest stars can be overshadowed by personal tragedy and circumstance. Despite her extraordinary talents and acclaim, her final chapter was marked by immense sorrow and financial hardship, a stark contrast to the splendor she once embodied on screen. We hope this deep dive into Romy Schneider's life and last days offers you a fuller understanding of the woman behind the legend. Thank you for watching, and please like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories of cinema's greatest icons.